The end of my dream.
There's a reason we cry for pirates, not because they fall, but because everything they carried before they hit the ground. In One Piece, tragedy doesn't come from death alone. It comes from knowing what could have been. A little girl who just wanted to be loved. A brother who smiled before he died. A ship that was treated like a friend because she was. These are characters who pain rewrote the story. The ones who never got a happy ending, but some still made sure others could chase theirs. These are the 10 most tragic characters in One Piece. And if you're not ready to cry, you weren't paying attention. Number 10, the Going Merry, the ship that cried. You heard that right, we're starting to list off with a ship, but not just any ship. The Going Merry wasn't just planks and sails. She was the first true home of the Straw Hats. And in a world where so many characters are defined by isolation, Mary was the one thing that held them together when nothing else could. She carried them through the East Blue, through Alabasta, through Skypiea, through hell. And she kept going even after being broken beyond repair. But what makes Mary tragic isn't just her destruction. It's the fact that she knew. She was alive, she felt them, and she closed the sail one last time, just to bring them home safe from Enies lobby. Then came that funeral. The scene that broke some of the most hardened One Piece fans. Mary didn't just fall from battle, she fell from love, overuse, and devotion. And that makes her the only ship in anime to die like a crewmate. Going Merry is tragedy in its purest form. She was never meant to last forever, but she stayed until the Straw Hats didn't need her anymore. And for that, she earned her place in the One Piece Hall of Fame. Number 9, Brooke, the man who laughed alone. Brooke's tragedy hits different. Not because he died, but because he kept living. He was lighthearted comic relief when we first met him. A skeleton who made fart jokes and asked to see underwear. But beneath the laughs were decades of silence, solitude, and sorrow. The kind of pain that doesn't scream, it just waits. Brooke didn't lose his crew. He lost them all and waited 50 years in the dark for someone to remember he existed. Alone, forgotten, singing a lullaby to himself so he doesn't go crazy. And the real heartbreak, Laboon, the will he promised to return to. The friend who waited just as long as he did on the other side of the sea, not knowing even if he was alive. Brooke's tragedy is quiet, long, and haunting. He doesn't wear it on his sleeve, but it defines everything he does. He fights to smile and he jokes to survive. And when he finally sees Laboon again, that won't just be a reunion, it will be a resurrection. Brooke isn't just a Straw Hats musician. He's the echo of everyone they lost and everyone they're trying to still reach. Number 8, Big Mom, the child that never grew up. Most people see Big Mom and think monster, a soul-stealing emperor, a tyrant that eats her own children and destroys countries over wedding cake. But underneath all that chaos is a child abandoned and manipulated and broken before she even had a chance. Charlotte Linland was born with terrifying power. So terrifying her own parents left her at sea. She was taken in by Mother Carmel, the first person to show her love, except it was all a lie. Carmel was selling children to the world government, and Linland was the most valuable of them all. Then one day in a hunger-fueled trance, she devoured Carmel and the entire orphanage without even realizing it. She spent the rest of her life chasing the feeling of family, trying to recreate the tea party that never existed, forcing people to smile and obey and pretend to be happy, just like she did as a child. Big Mom is a tragic villain in the truest sense. She became the monster that everyone feared because no one helped the little girl inside of her heal. Her strength is unmatched, her rule is terrifying, but her tragedy is psychological. She's the most powerful little girl in the world, still waiting for someone to show her real love. That's what makes her horrifying and heartbreaking. Number 7, Fisher Tiger, the revolutionary who couldn't forgive. Fisher Tiger was born a hero, a warrior and a symbol of hope for the fishermen. But behind that strength was pain that never healed, and a truth that cost him everything. Tiger didn't just fight the world government. He broke into Mary Jawas and freed the enslaved fishermen. He risked everything to liberate the people who were dehumanized for generations. But even as he became a legend, he never let go of the hate. I can't accept their blood even to survive. When Tiger was fatally wounded, the human blood was the only thing that could save him. And he refused, not out of pride, but because his trauma ran deeper than what his body could survive. His pain wasn't physical, it was generational. He couldn't forgive the world that treated his people like animals. And in the end, his inability to forgive cost him his life. Fisher Tiger is tragedy in the most human form. He fought for freedom but never found peace. His death didn't just break Arlong or Jinbei. It fractured fractured the fishman ideology itself. Tiger proved that liberation doesn't always heal the wounds of the past. Sometimes it leaves scars that heroes can't survive. Number 6, Corazan, the laugh that saved a life. Corazan was born into darkness, literally a celestial dragon by blood. But instead of accepting the cruelty, he rejected it. He ran from Jawas, he ran from the Marines, and infiltrated the very family he was trying to destroy. His mission to stop Doflamingo. His goal to save a single child from becoming a monster. Law was dying, he was angry, bitter, and broken. But Corazan didn't see him as a weapon. He saw a boy who still had a chance. So he lied to his brother and stole from the world government. He sacrificed his own body, his safety, his name, and at the end died smiling, all to make sure one child had a future. Corazan's tragedy is layered. He was born into absolute power but chose powerlessness. He was surrounded by monsters but chose to be the light. He had the perfect cover but blew it all to protect a dying kid who had nothing left to lose. And the kicker, he never got to see what Law became. Never got to see Law smile, never got to see him fight for others, never got to see him carry that will forward. His legacy lives in silence. A man who gave everything but asked for nothing. He didn't just save Law, he changed the course of One Piece forever. Number 5 is Whitebeard, a man who died standing. Edward Newgate wasn't just a Yonko. He wasn't just the strongest man in the world, he was a father. To men that were thrown away. To pirates who never knew love, only survival. He didn't want the One Piece, he didn't want power, he wanted family. A place where orphans, castaways, and warriors can call home. And for that dream, he gave everything. At Marineford, he watched the world crumble. He watched Ace die. He took hundreds of wounds, blades, bullets, magma, and never backed down. And in the end, when his heart gave out, he died standing. No retreat, no fear, no scar on his back. Whitebeard's tragedy is cosmic. He was a loss of an era, the only man to rival Roger. And he died knowing the world that he held together was about to fall apart. But before he went, he shouted a single truth into the heavens. The One Piece is real. A declaration that reignited the great pirate era. A final gift to the next generation. And a final promise to a son that he couldn't save. Whitebeard wasn't just a legend. He was a monument, and when he fell, the world shook. Not from power, but from the weight of everything he carried. Number 4 is Odin, the man who danced alone. Odin is one of the most beloved figures in Wano history, but for most of his life he was misunderstood, mocked, and even eventually martyred. He was a man that sailed with Whitebeard and Goldie Roger. He laughed with legends, read the secrets of the void century, and held the key to the world's liberation. And yet when he returned to Wano, what did he become? A fool, a joke, a man who danced in the street for coin. Why? Because Odin made a deal to save the people. He agreed to make a fool of himself publicly, endlessly, if it meant sparing the life of Orochi from Kaido's wrath. He bore the weight of their shame, so they wouldn't have to bear the weight of execution. And eventually that deal was betrayed, and in one of the most powerful scenes in all of One Piece, Odin holds his retainer above boiling water for hours, just so they might survive. He smiles as he burns. And his final words, Odin wouldn't be Odin if he wasn't boiled. Odin's tragedy is Shakespearean. He knew the truth of the world, he carried the torch of the D-Clan. He died ridiculed by the people he tried to save. He died waiting for Joy Boy, not knowing how close he was to meeting him. Odin wasn't just a failed samurai. He was a prophet without believers, a leader without followers, a man ahead of his time who gave everything to the future he wouldn't get to see. Number 3, Kuma, the man who gave up everything. Kuma might be the most mysterious Straw Hat ally in the whole series, but once you realize what he gave up, you realize his entire life was one long sacrifice. Once known as the tyrannical king of the Sorbet Kingdom, Kuma was actually a revolutionary, a man who joined Dragon to fight the world government, only to become their pawn, a warlord, a full-blown humanoid weapon. But here's the twist, he chose that fate. He allowed Vegapunk to strip away his body, his mind, his memories, all of it, just to stay close to the Straw Hats. He protected the ship for 2 years while losing every piece of himself, and now he's a hollow shell of himself, used as a slave by the system he once resisted. Kuma's tragedy is quiet and almost invisible, unless you're paying attention. But think about it, who else in One Piece literally erased himself to help others? He was a king who gave up his crown, a revolutionary who gave up the war, father who gave up his future for his daughter he never got to hold. And he did all this without complaint, because in the end, Kuma thought the world would be better even though he couldn't live to see it. Number 2, Nico Robin, the demon child who just wanted to live. Robin's story is pure devastation wrapped in quiet resilience. She was born a criminal, she was born curious, but in the world of One Piece, curiosity about the truth is punishable by death. At just 8 years old, her entire island, Ohara, was obliterated by a buster call. The reason, they were scholars, they were archaeologists. They wanted to know what happened in the void century. Robin survived, barely. But the world didn't let her live, they hunted her. She was branded as a demon, a bounty placed on her head as a child. And every adult in her life either used her or betrayed her. For 20 years, Robin lived with one belief: I'm not allowed to want anything. Then came Annie's Lobby, the arc where she finally broke down, crying through clenched teeth, I want to live. A phrase so simple, so human, so impossible until that moment. Robin's tragedy isn't just in her past, it's in the way she survived it. She smiled, she endured. She learned to never hope more than just survival. And when the Straw Hats declared war on the world government, just to rescue her, it was a declaration that she mattered and she wasn't alone. Robin's entire arc is a rebuke to how the world government treats the curious, the lonely, the othered. And her survival isn't just emotional, it's revolutionary. She isn't the devil child. She's the soul of One Piece's greatest truth, that knowledge and love are worth dying for. Number 1 is Ace, the fire that burned itself out. Ace's death wasn't just a turning point for One Piece, it was the turning point. He was the son of the Pirate King, born into a legacy he never asked for. And for most of his life, he believed that he didn't deserve to exist. That's what made this journey so tragic. Ace laughed louder than anyone, fought harder than anyone, but deep down he was chasing one thing: a reason to live. And he almost found it. He had Whitebeard, a crew, a purpose. And when Blackbeard took it all away, Ace made a choice, one that would lead him all the way to Marineford and to his death. Thank you for loving me. His final words wasn't out of revenge, legacy, or even fear. They were gratitude from a man who finally understood that he wasn't alone. Ace's death shattered the fandom, but what makes it unforgettable isn't the fact how he died, it's why he died. He threw himself back in the battlefield to defend his pride, and doing so left his brother Luffy broken. His sacrifice wasn't just a loss, it was a warning, a reminder that the strongest flames can still die out. Ace didn't want the throne, he wanted a family. And in the end, that's exactly what he died for. These were the top 10 most tragic characters in One Piece. What did I miss? Who deserves a spot or an honorable mention? Drop your own top 10 down in the comment section. I will see you guys in the next video. Peace.